Is November the 14th, 2022. It is 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting. I'm going to open up this meeting. We do have a quorum. Any public comments? None. We're going to go to the consent agenda. If there's any questions from the board members on any of the consent agenda items,
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We're going to go now to the items for individual consideration, which we have item number 1, the general manager's report.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board. Just real quick on the calendar, November 17th, which is coming Thursday, we do have the safety luncheon for our employees. I'd like to extend an invitation. I think we put a time, some time slots there on your, in y'all's desk, in your areas there. 11 o'clock, 12 and 1. It'd be great if y'all can make it out and come join us for that lunch and meet the employees. And also on the 24th and 25th, the PUB office will be closed for Thanksgiving holiday. That's, anybody have any questions on the calendar? We're good?
No.
Okay. Next item is going to be our financial report. Monica?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Monica Cavazos, Director of Finance. We'll be presenting our financials, unaudited financials as of September 30th, 2022. We'll be looking at the year-to-date column on the far right. We'll start with our income statement. We have in our operating revenues, sales and service charges of $191,450,949. Fuel collections of $66,206,211. Fuel underbillings of $30,915,480. Less the rate stabilization of $15,400,000. And utility service to the city of Brownsville of $5,512,302. Gave us total operating revenues of $267,660,338. From this, we deduct our total operating expenses of $215,313,244, which leaves us operating income of $52,347,094. We have net non-operating expenses of $26,052,534. Which gives us income before capital contributions of $26,294,560. We then have capital contributions of $8,145,966, giving us a change in that position of $34,440,526. When added to the net position at the beginning of the year of $411,306,272, gives us a net position at the end of the year of $445,746,798. Moving on to our flow of funds. Again, looking at the far right column, the 22 unaudited year to date. We see on line 20 that we generated sufficient revenues to give us a balance available for transfers out of $50,680,622. The transfers out are operating sub-account for the fuel adjustment of $13,581,220. Improvement fund for the capital improvement projects funding of $7,389,389. And scheduled commercial paper defeasance of $1,333,332. So the total transfers of $22,303,941 left us an improvement fund surplus for the year of $28,376,681. That's it for the financial report. If there's any questions from anybody.
No questions.
Can we have the engineering and legal fees monthly expenses?
So in your packets, you have the engineering fees. And you can see that our budget for the year, our total budget was $2,583,392. Our year-to-date, unaudited year-to-date as of September is $1,569,304, which left a balance of $1,014,088 in the engineering fee budget. Any questions on that? The next item is our legal fees. We had a total budget of $1,660,987. Our unaudited expenses as of September 2022 were $1,639,864, leaving a balance available of $21,123. Questions on that item? And then the last item I have for you is the capital work orders for the city of Brownsville. We had authorized work orders totaling $131,446.60, and expenditures incurred through the end of September of $46,629.06. And that was on 15 different work orders for different categories. Any questions on that? That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have a quick drought update by Rene Mariscal.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. Quick update on our drought. So as of November 5th, the combined U.S. storage is at 31.6% of normal conservation capacity. That's down from a year ago at 36.9. About 5% difference. This is a quick comparison of 2021 versus 2022. You'll see there in yellow, 2021, an entire calendar year. So you'll see how in 2022, we were definitely started off a little lower, and we see ourselves, same thing occurring. You'll note that this past summer, we hit 20.7%, which was our lowest. So we'll see what the weather patterns, see what how it holds. But we're clearly starting off a little lower than we did last calendar year. We're about the recent rains obviously helped us a bit, so we'll be about 5% lower. U.S. seasonal drought outlook for the next couple of months is, you'll see there that it still has us as potentially drought development. Overall, our area is abnormally dry, but for the most part, that we're still see the potential for drought development. That's a quick update. Any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the end of the general manager report.
Okay. At this time, we're going to go with item number 2, which is a consideration and possible action to amend the fiscal year budget 2023.
Yeah, good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. On December the 2012, the board requested and the city approved the 5-year rate plan, which included a 22% designated for bond issuance costs on a proposed electric generation project. And then on May the 3rd, 2022, the City of Brownsville Commission approved the rollback of the 22% electric base rates in a phased approach, with the first 11% effective June 1 of 22 and the second 11% reduction effective June 1 of 23. Subsequently, on October 25th of 2022, the City Commission approved changing the effective date of the second 11% reduction from June 1 of 2023 to December 1 of 2022. So this accelerated the effective date will result in a decrease of $4,293,062 in electric revenues and a corresponding decrease of 10% to the City of Brownsville cash transfer of $429,306, as well as a decrease in the amount available for the fuel adjustment subaccount of $3,863,756. So at this time, BPV staff recommends approval of an O&M budget amendment in the amount of $4,293,062.
Any questions from the board?
Mike, our debt service coverage is still well above what's required.
Correct. We started off the budget year at 1.96, and this will drop it down to 1.81. Well ahead of the 1.25 times requirement.
Any further questions? If not, if I can entertain a motion to move.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
We're going to go to item number 3, which is a consideration and possible action on the selection of a plan administrator for the other post-employment benefits trust.
Good afternoon. So, BPUB provides post-retirement healthcare benefits and supplemental death benefits to its employees. And in August of 2022, the BPUB board approved us establishing a trust for the OPEB, an irrevocable OPEB trust with an initial contribution of $13,306,413 and directed us to go out for requests for proposals. We did receive 4 proposals, which were reviewed by staff. And we did present to the Finance Committee on November the 9th. And we made our recommendation to the Finance Committee. And so now the Finance Committee can let you all know tonight what their recommendation is on the selection of which firm to use as the OPEB plan administrator.
Sure. So the recommendation that was made to the Finance Committee was PARS, the Public Agency Retirement Services. And they had 2 options. One was to use Vanguard Investment as the investment advisor. The other was US Bank or Highmark as the investment advisor. Vanguard is they charge, I think it's 0.06% of the assets versus 0.28 for Highmark US Bank. And the recommendation at that time was Vanguard. And so the Finance Committee didn't have any objection to that recommendation.
So yes, the recommended action. Did you want to make a motion?
I would say just have your recommendation.
So the staff did recommend the selection of PARS as the OPEB trust plan administrator.
If there's no questions from the board, if I can get a motion?
So move.
Second.
You got it? No. Jude? Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Monica. We're going to go to item number 4, which is a discussion on the quarterly investment activity report for period ended September the 30th, 2022, pursuant to Chapter 2256.023 of the Public Investment Act.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Jorge Santillan, Treasury Manager. In accordance with Chapter 2256, Section 23 of the Public Funds Investment Act, we present the investment report for the quarter ended September 30th, 2022. There's no action required on this agenda item. I'm gonna go over the presentation, which is in the second part of your packet. On this page, I will show the total portfolio market value of at the end of the quarter of 195.8 million. The asset allocation is as follows: U.S. Treasury notes and bills, 18%, bank deposits, 30%, investment pools, 52%. At the bottom, we have some portfolio statistics. For the end of the quarter, the weighted yield to maturity, 2.95%. At the end of previous quarter, we had 1.18%. The weighted average maturity, 27 days. Next page, we have the yield summary by investment type. The first on lines 1 through 4, we have the U.S. Treasury notes and bills with a total market value of 35,433,297. The yield to maturity on the last column, ranging from 3.06% to 3.90%. Then we have the bank deposits with a market value of 59,194,250 with a yields of 1.15% and 2.95%. Then we have the investment pools, lines 7 through 11. Total market value, 101,163,397 with yields from 2.77% to 3.14%. The total portfolio, again, 195,790,944 with a 2.95% yield combined. Here on this page, we have a line graph showing the BPUB's historical yields compared to the 2 benchmarks that we use, which is the S&P Pool Index and the 91-day T-bill. For the last quarter, PUB ended at 2.95%. 67 basis points higher than the S&P index, and 29 basis points higher than the 91-day T-bill. Again, there's no action on this item. Any questions?
Questions from the board? No.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to go item number 5, which is a consideration and possible action of approval of the Brownsville Public Utilities Board Group Health and Dental partially self-insurance plans and rates.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Estrella Solórzano. I'm the Acting Director of Communication and Administrative Services. I do have the group health and dental rates to present to you, as well as the negotiated plan for renewal for the policy year 2023. This item was presented on November 7th internally to our BPUB, to a group of employees that yearly we present these to help us in the communication, as well as to our Finance Committee meeting board members on Wednesday, November 10th. Do you have any questions regarding the packet? Would you like me to go over the presentation?
Does the Finance Committee have a recommendation?
Estrella presented it at the meeting, and we had no objection to the recommendations.
Just a brief summary. For the policy year employee rates, we are recommending no changes in rates to the employee benefits, as well as no benefit changes under group health. For group health and dental, we are recommending an increase for the maximum from 3,000 to 4,000, as well as removing the waiting periods for the endodontic, periodontal, crowns, inlays, and overlays, as well as no changes in rates. The only one that will see an impact is COBRA, because that's based on the Blue Cross Blue Shield recommended rates times the 2% administration fee, so they will see an increase. Dental for retirees, as well as COBRA for retirees, will also see an increase, because that's also based on recommended rates times the 2%. Any additional questions? Would you like me to make a recommendation? Okay. So BPUB staff recommends approval of the BPUB Group Health and Dental partially self-insured plans as recommended by BPUB's insurance consultant for a 3-year period, with BPUB's option to renew at the end of each year, and authorize the BPUB interim general manager and chief executive officer to designate a time period for open enrollment for the January 1st through December 31st, 2023 policy period.
If there's no questions from the board, if we can entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to item number 6, which is consideration and possible approval for entering into a master services agreement with eSource Companies, LLC, to provide consulting and program management services for the advanced metering infrastructure project.
Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Eddie Hernandez. I'm the Director of Customer Service and IT. And with me is Nicole Nassan from eSource. If you should have any questions, we have a couple of more online in case you have any questions. eSource is a consulting firm that has aided Brownsville staff in the research and construction of the request for proposal for the AMI project. Based on qualifications, demonstrate past performance with BPUB on the AMI project, which will allow team consistency. Staff recommends eSource as the most highly qualified provider of these services, and find the proposed fees to be fair and reasonable. The attached master services agreement with eSource is for consulting and project management services for the implementation of the implementation phase of the AMI project. eSource will aid BPUB with contract negotiations, contract management, project management, and consulting services. The contract has been reviewed by our legal firm, Davidson Trujillo Raymond Garza. The recommended action is BPUB staff recommends the board authorize the interim general manager and CEO to negotiate and execute professional consulting and technical master services agreement with eSource Companies, LLC, to provide consulting and program management services for the advanced metering project in an amount not to exceed $2,276,274, and issue various work authorizations thereunder. With that said, this is part of the $29 million. We put a little presentation into the packet. If you like, we can go over that. This is part of the $29 million budget. And it's not in addition to, it is part of. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to go through the presentation if you like.
That was actually my question, whether it was budgeted or part of that 29, so, thanks.
What's the period of performance for this part of the contract?
It's, yeah,
3 years?
between 2 to 3 years.
The entirety of the implementation.
Correct, for the entire project.
But this, we're only approving the procurement part, right? The negotiating contracts or the entire rest of the project?
This is the entire project.
The entire.
Their services for the entire project.
This firm services for the.
Right. Just wanted to make sure.
I have a couple comments. I know it's a large ticket item, and I know that this firm assisted us in going through the process, but I just don't understand how y'all came up with over $2 million to provide support. They were paid as we move forward to the procurement process. Now they're going to get paid again over $2 million, and they provide nothing but consultation.
Well,
They don't provide any hardware. They don't provide any materials. So this is, in my opinion, it's an incredible amount of money to provide just for consultation on professionals that are already coming in, and they already know what to do.
yes, sir, the devil's in the details on, I look at it kind of as insurance and guidance on a $29 million project. We have good vendors.
Eddie, I look at it over $2 million of ratepayer money in this community. And I mean, I'd like to understand how you came up with $2 million.
Why don't we get into the
It's a
presentation?
three-year project. It's consultation. Probably most of the consultations over the phone or through electronic email, but this is an enormous amount of money.
It is, but part of what they're going to help us with, I put on screen, the vendor contract negotiations itself is going to be,
I understand all that, man. You don't have to go through all that. I'm just making my comments that this really needs to be renegotiated. This is very, very high. Simply for consultation. Again, they're not providing anything else.
Well, to add to Art's comments, I just ran some quick numbers. That's about $12,000 a week. So I think it's valid to ask a little bit more, for a little more detail.
Understandable, absolutely. And just again, hoping to address your questions. Ultimately, we provided a scope of work which has significant detail that's rolled up into these categories that you see on the slides. Realizing, yes, it's consultation, but part of the reason that eSource exists and the clients that we have served in to deploy this type of technology in the past, in a lot of cases, the vendors do come in and they do have certain expertise, but what they don't know is your utility, and they'd rather not spend an inordinate amount of time getting to know your utility, whereas we do. We come in not only in the field, but also in the back office. We understand billing, we understand business processes, we understand how all these things need to change in order to adopt this technology. Also, in terms of just when you're just ultimately providing that consultation services, we're also providing a framework and also project management. We're going to help you manage the vendor. We're going to help you manage the structure of the project over that time frame.
I understand all that, and I came, I've listened to all the presentations. We hired some very, very expensive companies to implement and to execute the work out in the field. You guys have already worked with us and we're paid X amount. I think administration really needs to go back and negotiate a better price than this. I mean, that's my opinion. I think it's very high. I don't support it. That's where I stand, and I think we should be a little more prudent with items like this. $2 million. We received a lot of consultation on the way here when you guys got us here. And I would think that y'all would have worked with PUB to say, hey, we can do this thing for half the price.
Well, one thing we also, if I may, we also did structure the contract in time and materials. So if for some reason the hours that we've estimated into each one of these tasks are not utilized, then we would not use them, or we can shift them. So there's a lot of flexibility, because what we do find when we start to engage in these projects, oftentimes you may need more help in one area and not so much in another. So we tried to also structure it again, just for flexibility purposes.
I understand. I just think it's a note.
Could the opposite be true as well, though? If you go over time, then it's going to cost us more, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to point out is there are multiple pieces of software that we're going to be melding together and bringing together, including our current billing system, a customer engagement portal, the AMI head-end systems, two of them, and bringing all those pieces together to make them work and actually get what you want out of it is a lot more difficult than it may seem on paper. I've done most of the major implementations for this company. I put in the financial system back in '98. I put in the CIS system in 2002. I put in the GIS system in 2005, 2006. This is beyond all of those combined. I mean, we're going to put in about 3 or 4 different systems, brand new, from this. And then we have to integrate it into our billing system and into other areas. And some of the things that we're going to be doing, it's not one individual that they're going to be providing. We're going to have multiple individuals. The project manager, we're going to have business process professionals that have to come in and basically we have to rethink everything we do, because none of our business processes that we have today will be the same moving forward. Everything changes. And it's those kinds of things that we're not familiar with, that they are, where they can help us.
But Eddie, you telling me that they require over $2 million to provide that consultation?
On that note,
1 million?
on that note, may I ask, Eddie, can you hear me over here? Okay.
Oh.
It's not up there yet. But thanks for the vote of confidence. Do we have, I think maybe to shed some light on this and along the lines that Art is asking, I agree $2 million is a lot, but I have no frame of context or reference. Could you provide us with that maybe by next month? I mean, if we look at, I'm saying that other contracts, other locations, the presentation, you told us you've worked all over the place, all around the state of Texas. I'm sure this has been done before. As a percentage of the overall cost of the project, if there's a certain percentage of guidance that is normally charged and paid, that would make me a little bit more comfortable. If there isn't a precedence for that and it's inordinate, then I'm sure you all would be saying that right now. At least I have that faith. But I think I'd like to see that, to just provide us with a little bit more context. If that's in here, in the details, and I missed it, then highlight it. If not, then I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Thank you.
How big will this staff be? How many people do we see? Yes.
Yeah, we've designated approximately 12 people. They would not be full-time, but over the course of the life of the project, they'd be, some would be consistent, meaning they'd be working for X period of time and duration. One area, project manager, would be the life of the project. Also testing. There's going to be a test period. You're going to be doing test planning, actually guiding the teams through the actual testing before the systems are deployed and you go live. So each one of these areas that are outlined on the scope is basically experts come in, they provide the support, they help develop the plans, they work with your teams, and then basically make it through to the next phase.
Yeah, but we can certainly go back and look, Dr. Benavides, on how you want us to give you a more or less what the industry has out
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
We'll take a look also at the hours of the contract.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I want to make sure, at least from my point of view, this is not any kind of issue of confidence or in the company's ability to do this. And I acknowledge that I think we really, that's your point, we really need something like this. I just want to see a comparative cost that's out there that we're not.
Size of the project.
Size of the project ratio, if there's something that, is this a $2 million set fee for regardless of the size of the project? Is it a percentage? And is it comparable to what others have paid in the past, adjusted for all the economic factors that are occurring now? That's all I want to say.
Could you all do that for the next meeting?
Yes.
Have some, I know that there's a table in there on page 22, which kind of breaks down the fees, the 11 different tasks and then the fees for each one of those tasks. But like Jude said, we don't really have a frame of reference, right? And so if it's possible to go out there and say, hey, this is what's kind of comparable or what we base this on, or if there's a way just to have more of those details. And I mean, I see architecture and engineering in there, and I assume it's similar to when you were taking on, a construction project, right? And in this case, you guys are operating as project managers, and perhaps it would just be helpful to be able to look at it through that lens and be able to compare it with other projects. Does this delay, would this delay us 30 days to start, or is there really a delay if we're?
I think it's more important to allay your concerns than whatever. I mean, we're rolling into the holiday season anyway. We were just discussing that earlier. Which is going to slow us down a little. So to be honest, I'd rather address your questions and make sure we do that properly.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Okay.
Would the board like to table this item for next month?
Yeah. I'll move to table.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll table item number 6. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to go to number 7, which is consideration and possible action to award the analytical laboratory services.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the board. My name is Albert Gomez, Director of Environmental Services. The BPUB solicited competitive seal proposals for analytical laboratory services for obtaining environmental laboratory professional services to perform high-quality quantitative analysis on an as-needed basis. The BPUB Purchasing Department opened bids on October 13th. For the analytical laboratory services proposal, invitation was advertised in the Brownsville Herald on September 25th and October 2nd. Posted on BPUB's webpage and emailed to 19 vendors, with 3 vendors responding. We had Eurofins Environmental Testing, AMB Environmental Services, and Analab Corporation. BPUB staff evaluated the responses, and the evaluations are in the packet, and is recommending Analab Corporation. Term of the contract is for 2 years, beginning December 1st through November 30th of 2024. Any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Our recommended action is the BPUB staff recommends proposal award for analytical laboratory services to Analab Corporation of Kill Grove, Texas, for a total amount not to exceed $346,846 for the 2-year period.
Can I entertain a motion to move?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're going to go to item number 8, which is a consideration and possible action to award bid for the wastewater pumping station upgrades, package 1, lift station 9, 10, 11, and 43 project.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. My name is Marie Leal, and I'm the Director of Special Projects and Water Wastewater Engineering Planning and Operations. Lift stations number 9, 10, 11, and 43 were originally built between 27 and 35 years ago. Many of these components, including pumps, discharge piping, electrical controls, they currently need replacement due to wear and tear. An invitation to bid was advertised in the Brownsville Herald on September 11th and 18th of 2022, posted on BPUB's webpage and emailed to 13 vendors. On October 6, 2022, the BPUB Purchasing Department opened bids for the wastewater pumping stations upgrades package 1, lift stations 9, 10, 11, and 43 project, and 2 vendors responded as follows. Ferguson Service Systems, Inc., out of Bonito, Texas, at $3,525,890. Associated Construction Partners out of Bernie, Texas at $5,674,120. And then we have our engineer's estimate, which came in at $4.1 million. BPB staff recommends approval of bid award for the wastewater pumping station upgrade package 1, lift station 9, 10, 11, and 43 project to Ferguson Service Systems, Inc. of Olmito, Texas for a total amount not to exceed $3,525,890.
Any questions from the board?
I have a couple of questions, Marie.
Yes.
How many lift stations does PUB currently have?
We currently have approximately 179 lift stations.
And how do y'all evaluate when components are going bad and they're ready to be replaced?
A lot of them come from our master plan, and then we begin putting them in our 5-year CIP. And then also on a daily basis in input from our operations, our construction crews, which are the most troublesome, which are the ones that we have the most problems, which are the ones that have the pumps are in dire need of replacement, so on and so forth. So,
And Marie, do y'all maintain very careful, specific records when they are, when you invest this kind of money into these old?
absolutely. Yes, sir. We have actually, there's spreadsheets that with the lift station number and how many pumps. Some of the larger lift stations may have 4 pumps, 3, 2, what year, the size of the pumps on these lift stations, the year that they've been replaced. So we provide that, and that is how it's maintained throughout the years.
Thank you.
So, Ferguson, I believe the name was, came in at the lowest price.
Yes.
Are we sure that they have the technical expertise to do this?
Yes, sir. Ferguson, which is owned by Mr. Doug Davis, he's been doing lift stations for PUB for many, many years. He currently has several projects ongoing with us. So he always, and actually he performs well throughout the whole valley. I know that he does a lot of plant work and lift stations, also for City of McAllen and the other cities in the valley as well as for us.
Okay, so we have a long track record with them. And
Yes.
we're satisfied with, performance 5 years afterwards, 10 years after it's been installed.
Yes, sir. Yes. Right now, the only thing that is affecting, but it's affecting all contractors, is that we have to space out and pace the project on deliverables of the pumps and the electrical equipment. So one of the things that we're doing is we don't issue a notice to proceed until we know the approximate timeline on the deliverables, so that we don't just eat up all of the project timeline on 10 months waiting for the materials and equipment.
Any further questions? There are no questions. If I can get,
Motion that we accept the recommendation. Ms. Leo.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Marie. This time, we're going to go with item number 9, which is a consideration and possible approval of amendment of resolution 2019-1118, resolution adopting amended rules of governance of the Brownsville Public Utilities Board.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is just a housekeeping item. I know we had a request about moving the meetings to 5:30. We went ahead and amended that resolution. It's basically for board approval if y'all want to move the meeting to 5:30.
Any questions? Can I get a motion?
Make a motion that we move forward. with
I'll second.
the resolution.
To move the meetings to 5:30. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, we're going to be recessing to the closed meeting. We're going to discuss the following items. Item number 1 is the discussion of the Brownsville Public Utilities Board progress on natural gas hedging strategies and power supply, section 551086. Number 2 is a presentation, discussion, and possible recommendation of information upon pricing of purchased power generation and fuel and their impact upon the fuel, purchased energy and marketing charge, section 551.086. Number 3 is meeting with board's legal counsel for advice about contemplated and pending court and administrative litigation and on matters in which the duty of the attorney under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct conflicts with Chapter 551, Section 551.071, including among other matters, the CRI forensic audit report, any new and/or additional information received regarding the audit report, and possible retention of professional consultant regarding the audit report. Number 4 is the deliberations regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, or discipline of the CEO of the Brownsville Public Utilities Board, Section 551.074 and 551.071. Number 5 is the consideration of duties of interim CEO and possible appointment of interim CEO, Section 551.074 and 551.071. Number 6 is a discussion and review of the appointment of a local board counsel and of the qualifications of an appropriate procurement for such services, Section 551.074 and 551.071. Last item is number 7, which is a discussion and review of the appointment of a special board counsel and of the qualifications of an appropriate procurement for such services, Section 551.074 and 551.071. If I could get a motion to go into recess to close meeting.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I didn't see the other.
So far.
And then also. I don't know.
Here we go. 9 hours.
Yes, motion.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
In accordance with what was discussed in executive session.
You can,
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, we're going to go ahead and now with item number 11, discussion and a request for any future agenda items.
Madam Chair, if I may, on the other previous item before we advance, I'd just like to say on behalf.
Oh,
of
I'm
the-
sorry. Go ahead.
Publicly, on behalf of the board, wanted to thank Mr. Jaime Estrada for his service as interim CEO. I think the best thing that could be said about a employee is to rise to the occasion when it's required. And I believe everybody on the board and everything we heard was that he went above and beyond the call of duty. So thank you, Mr. Estrada, on behalf of the board. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Simon.
Jaime.
Thank you. Jaime. Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Nope. Okay. So item number 11, discussion and a request for future agenda items. If there's none, then if I can go ahead and get a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So move. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.